Imagine riding a bus like everyone else to go to school, but before you know it, Train-kun comes crashing into your bus, ending your life in that instant. The only thing Haruto remembered in his final moments was promising the love of his life that he'd stay by her side forever. But when he woke up, he realized that his name was no longer Haruto, it was now Ryo. And God had gifted him with secret abilities that made him overpowered. With all these memories flashing into his mind, Ryo wonders if the fever is causing these hallucinations. But a couple of guys interrupt his thoughts and enter the home with a giant bag, telling him that he smells like an anime convention before kicking him outside. While picking berries, Ryo continues wondering who this Haruto person was, but decides that it doesn't matter because he is Ryo, and his life mission is avenging his mother who was slain in front of him. After he was done eating the berries, Ryo put on his clothes, and a group of women came up to him, calling him a scrawny little ugly bitch. But Celia politely asked him if he saw their friend Flora. However, he told her that he's never seen her before, so Celia activated a magical spell to see if he's telling the truth, but notices an immense amount of pure aura emanating from his body. Seeing that he wasn't lying to her, Celia gave him some silver coins because of his information, and he quickly ran back to share it with his friends. But as soon as he entered the house, an assassin tried stabbing a dagger into his chest. The only thing that saved his life was the coin bag as he fell on the ground, only to see everyone else dead on the floor. As he was about to meet his doom, a woman called him Haruto and taught him how to use the limitless magic inside of him. Using his magical aura, Ryo strengthened his body and pushed back the assassin away with a palm strike. He adopted a karate stance that he learned from Haruto's memories and kicked the assassin in the face after dodging his attacks. When the assassin continued to be aggressive, Ryo twisted his arm and broke it. Enraged from getting defeated by a kid, the assassin approached Ryo yet again, but he got slammed on the ground. As he was about to finish him off, he heard the sound of a girl crying and realized that the item those goons were transporting was Flora. The princess begs him to save her from this mess, but when she saw all the dead bodies in the room, she fell unconscious. There was no other choice for Ryo but to help the poor girl, so he carried her on his back and took her back to the ladies that came looking for her earlier. Flora's sister Christina blamed Ryo for kidnapping her and immediately got aggressive towards him. She didn't even give him a chance to speak, and Vanessa held a knife to his face, ordering him to come to the castle to explain himself. The knights captured the assassin later, and a mysterious person ended his life before he would reveal anything. Inside the castle, Ryo was tied up and started getting tortured by Charles as he beat him into a pulp. He kept trying to force Ryo into confessing that he kidnapped Flora, so his own carelessness would be looked over. But the only crime Ryo had committed was having such an ugly face.
What did he say?
The princess wakes up from her sleep, and her comrades ask her what happened to her. She tells them that Ryo was actually the one who rescued her, and that he should be summoned here at this moment. Ryo is still being beat up to the point where he's about to die from the amount of abuse he's taken. But the soldier continues doing this to restore their reputation for being useless when letting the princess get kidnapped. The princess's aide barges in, asking him what the hell he thinks he's doing to the boy, and informs him that he was the one who saved the princess. They let him down, but his body collapses from all the bones they broke, and Celia rushes to heal him. After falling unconscious, Ryo wakes up to Celia's face, and she apologizes for all the bad things that happened to him when he was just helping the princess. She informs him that the king of the nation wants to meet with him after rescuing his daughter, and he agrees to meet him. Inside the castle, he goes to meet with the king, showing the entire royal family that he went from asking the princess's dad for permission to take her on a date, to telling him that his daughter calls him daddy too. A few days pass inside the kingdom, and Ryo is ready to attend school along with his peers. But his welcome on his first day isn't the warmest and is bullied in the class by a certain brat that mocks the way he talks. As the school day goes on, his peers discover that he can't read yet and continue making fun of him. But Ryo doesn't give up easily, and goes to his teacher's room after school for some private tutoring. After a few hours of studying, Ryo solves every single problem presented to him once he learned all the symbols. This is all simple addition after all, and he has all the memories of being a university student. Celia asks him if anything's been bothering him in school over a cup of tea, and he feels sad that he's being picked on already but shrugs it off and pretends that nothing is wrong. A few weeks pass during sword practice, and the instructor tells Ryo to come and spar with him after noticing his interesting form. Ryo demonstrates his unorthodox form, and rushes towards the instructor to battle him. His dojo lessons from his grandpa allow him to continue striking while keeping up his defense, but the kid continues making fun of the way he uses his sword. The instructor is impressed with Ryo's prowess and asks him if he has considered becoming a knight for the kingdom, but Ryo is the only one in the class who doesn't want to become a knight. Months pass and Ryo continues learning the language to catch up with everyone else in his class. After a short while, his intelligence surpasses everyone else's in the class, but his memories of his previous life continue flooding him, missing Mai-chan. Because in this world, the only thing he has is people bullying him. Ryo remembers Mai-chan being his childhood love, but being separated from her when his parents divorced. Then Haruto saw her once in high school, but she never came back again to school, as though she had erased herself from existence. Ryo's internal conflict grows, strengthening his resolve that Haruto is dead, and that he is Ryo and will live through all of this. The next morning, the exam results are announced, and everyone is surprised to find a homeless orphan scoring a perfect score along with the princess. The brats who don't deserve a name continue bullying him, calling him a cheater because he's too stupid to do as well as a princess. The princess's friend defends him, calling them jealous sore losers, and Celia backs them up by asking him for any evidence of Haruto cheating. They head off after being ashamed in front of everyone, and Celia later tells him how worried she is about the way the kids are bullying him. Ryo asks her if she experienced a similar treatment growing up, but she tells him that she at least had friends when growing up. Ryo tells her that he will also be fine, because he has Celia as a friend after all. Celia blushes like a typical anime girl, telling him that she doesn't mind if she's his friend, but he continues asking her to repeat herself because it's making him break up. Their relationship strengthens, and Celia promises that she'll always hug Ryo if he's ever crying from all the bullying. Ryo tells her that it'll be perfect for comforting him because she's so small after all. Years pass as they spend them together, and before they know it, Ryo is being asked to represent the school in the next sword arts tournament. The unnamed brat's balls haven't dropped yet, and he rejects the idea of Ryo being the person representing the school. The instructor denies their objections, and Celia is impressed by how strong Ryo has become, and notices how much taller he has become now. She tells him that he's gotten so big after 5 years, but he tells her that she's still as small as ever.
Emotional damage!
After drinking a cup of tea, Celia asks Ryo what he plans on doing after graduating, but he tells her that he plans on leaving this country because there's no place for him here. This saddens Celia, especially because he's helped her clean this place up and always cheered her up when things got hard. Ryo apologizes for having to leave, but reminds her that she will soon be getting married, to which Celia rejects the idea of getting married anytime soon. He tells her that she should start thinking about it soon because she might end up growing old, but then tells her that she'll always be small in the important areas, so it doesn't matter after all. Celia wonders where Ryo's adventures will take him, and his only wish is to get to the country where his mother used to live before her death. Celia notices him spacing out in sadness, and wonders what could have gone on in his life. The tournament day arrives, and the first defender of the academy happens to be Ryo. The brat tells him that no one is expecting anything out of him anyway, but that he should avoid shaming the academy with his sword skills. His opponent appears on the field, and it happens to be no other than the man who tortured him meaninglessly when he was young. The battle commences, and the soldier wonders if he's mocking him. The knight fights all out, using his entire strength because he's been demoted since that incident 5 years ago. But his anger only causes him to rush out and compromise his position in the process, allowing Ryo to knock his sword into the air and finish the match. The soldier becomes a sore loser and tells them that he just wasn't trying and will be more serious. But the referee yells at him to take his loss as an honorable knight instead of a wimp. The night after the tournament, a mysterious man drinks with the soldier, prying him for information. He asks him who that student was, as he was the only one to win a match while his peers all got destroyed. The soldier reveals that Ryo was the one who saved the princess 5 years ago, and this captures the mysterious man's attention. The next day, Celia is excited to congratulate him for how well he battled, but sees Ryo walking towards a woman that confesses her love to him, and wonders how she truly feels about him. During his classes, Celia teaches everyone about using lightning to control magical power, but the brat points out that they're only learning this because Ryo is the only one who can't control any of his magical abilities. For all the crap he talks, he only is able to create a small orb of light, and Celia demonstrates to the class that you must be able to control multiple orbs of light at once to truly master it. Ryo is impressed by her control, and wonders why he's only able to copy others' magic only after seeing it. After class, one of the brats comes up to Ryo and tells him to stop seducing women everywhere just because he won by a fluke. Celia stands up for Ryo, but the brat tells her that Rio's been flirting with her too. She denies this ever happening, but the brat tells him that his house will not stay silent if he continues playing with girls' emotions. The princess, Flora, sees this and is upset that he's being falsely accused. She blames herself for causing all these problems for him and wonders how she can repay him for rescuing her. A few weeks pass, and the annoying kid introduces the rest of his class to their class operation that they must complete for a high grade. He reveals that he's obtained classified information from upperclassmen, and has his friend make Rio carry all the luggage because he can't cast magic. Rio accepts without objecting, but Flora feels bad for him and asks him if she could help him carrying it. Rio stays a chivalrous man, and Flora feels bad for Rio constantly having to deal with all of this again. Goblins come to attack them, but the students fend them off without any trouble and make fun of Rio for being the only one who didn't do anything yet again. But what they don't know is that Rio is the only one who is able to notice the creepy man watching over them. As they reach the end of the path and think they are finished, they see a giant cliff before the finish line. But before they are able to understand their situation, a group of orcs come and launch their spears at them. Rio parries one of their strikes, but the brat gets slashed in the foot by one of their spears. The brat runs towards one of the students who pushes him off into the princess. Flora falls off the cliff unexpectedly, and Rio dashes towards her with his full speed, diving in and knocking her back onto the cliff to save her life. The orcs continue battling against the students, but they group up together to take care of the enemy in their way with their magical abilities. They eliminate the first horde of them and celebrate, but Rio wonders if he would be able to join them since he didn't take any fall damage using his mysterious magical abilities gifted to him. The students blame the brat for pushing Flora off the cliff, but the brat tries to blame Rio for being the one who pushed him and makes up a scenario to put all the blame on him. The rest of the students believe his story, even as Flora attempts to stand up for him. Rio realizes that even his wishes for graduating from this academy won't come true, and as Flora attempts to clear Rio of any of the blame, a giant beast comes flying above, blocking them from their exit. All of the students group up again and use their magical ability, but the giant monster knocks all of their magical weapons away and dodges any of their attacks. None of the students stand a chance against him, and as they run away to avoid their death, Flora is the only one staying back to heal one of her fallen peers. The beast comes from behind her, ready to finish her off. But Rio comes in to slash the monster in the last second. With his magical ability, he enhances his speed and agility, allowing him to slash towards the monster and dodge all of the attacks coming in his way. The monster jumps to the sky to prepare a strong slash, but Rio dodges it and continues his attack to hold the monster off. Rio parries all of the blows coming his way. The rest of the students come to make sure Flora is okay, but Rio walks away from the situation to avoid any of them finding out he's still alive. The creepy man flies from above, thinking that this is an interesting development and that he's never seen a kid using the secret spirit arts. Later that night, Celia goes to meet with the headmaster, but hears him conversing with the brat's parents. The headmaster understands that Rio likely didn't do anything wrong, but decides to pit all of the blame on Rio to save the royal family's reputation even if it's falsely accusing him. At night, Celia worries that she'll never see Rio again, but he knocks on her door and comes sneaking in. Celia runs towards him, hugging him and telling him how worried she was about him. She tells him about the false charge they've put on him, but Rio understands that no one would acknowledge his truth because he's just a homeless orphan. He thanks Celia for being the only person who was always there for him, and tells her that she was the only person who he wanted to say goodbye to before going to his parents' homeland. Even if they're separated, Rio tells her that he will send her letters under the name of Haruto, and gets up to leave. Celia asks him if they'll meet again, and he tells her that he will definitely come back for her. She bids him a safe trip, and cries as she patiently waits for all of his letters. During that night, the father of the brat commands a girl called Latifa to find Rio, and kill him no matter how far away he may be. Rio dashes through the country at incredible speeds, and jumps over any monster standing in his way. After 3 days of long travel, he makes it to the kingdom of Galark where the news of his crime hasn't reached yet. A mysterious girl walks behind him, and he feels that something is off in this town. Inside the town, a chef asks him if he would like to try any of the pasta that was invented by Lyslot, and Rio wonders how pasta has made it from his world into this one with the same name. Ryo pays for a bowl, tasting the dish, wondering if this person is from the same world as Haruto. After asking the person where he could buy more noodles on his trip, the man points him to the guild's headquarters. A maid comes up to him, introducing herself as Lot and taking care of all of his needs throughout the day. Ryo sends a letter to Celia, telling her that he won't be able to communicate with her for a while because he will be traveling throughout the woods. As he takes his leave from the city, the blonde girl calls Lot Lyslot, but Lot tells her to keep her true identity a secret. Ryo continues running through the forest until he finds a child laying down in the middle. He bends over to make sure she's okay, but she turns towards him and throws a poison fang towards him, nearly knocking him unconscious before he neutralizes the poison. The cat girl rushes towards him at blinding speeds and he barely dodges her strikes while activating his physical enhancements. Her speed multiples as she also enchants her physical ability, and she launches towards him with her dagger, but he continues knocking her off of him and dodging her. He sheaths his sword and uses his superior martial arts to knock her down in her place, holding his knife to her neck, but she starts crying and tells him that she doesn't want to die. The girl begins crying for her mother, and he knocks her unconscious with his spirit arts. After tying her up, he notices that a collar of submission has been placed on her, and wonders if he could dispel it from the magic he's learned. He activates the dispel magic with his hand, and the collar comes breaking off. Inside Latifah's memories, she remembers being on the same bus and dying after the crash. Latifah woke up to the brat bullying her, telling her that she will become his obedient sister and call him her esteemed brother. She refuses, so he shocks her mind and forces her into submission. She wakes up from her evil dream, and Ryo tells her that if she wants to live, then she shouldn't try to resist. Ryo questions her and asks her who gave her the collar of submission around her neck. Latifah begins crying, finally realizing that the collar has been broken off of her and that she's finally free. Ryo comforts her, and Latifah tells him that she's never known the name of her master, but tells him that her brother was called Stuart, and Ryo realizes that the brat was the one who sent her after him. Ryo asks Latifah if she still intends on killing him, but she tells him that she won't harm him. After releasing her, Ryo tells her that she's free to do as she pleases, and that she should head away from him to find shelter in one of the kingdoms. However, as he walks away, Latifah continues following him and asks him if she could accompany him, but Ryo warns her that she should be careful from a person that she just tried to kill. Ryo tells her that he can't trust her, but Latifah tells him that he can put the collar onto her if he wants because she's more afraid of being alone. Reluctantly, Ryo agrees to take her with him, and she finally tells him that her name is Latifah. They set off on their adventure together, and after a while, Ryo cooks the noodles for Latifah, who recognizes this as spaghetti. He wonders how she could know the other name for pasta, and she tells him that she used to eat it, or so she thinks. After hearing her, Ryo wonders if Latifah is from the same world as Haruto, and when she cries at night begging to go home, Ryo hears her saying that she wants to go back to Tokyo, instantly realizing that this girl must be from the same world as Haruto. He comforts her during her sleep, and she wakes up next to him, realizing that he looks like the guy who was with her on the bus. After Ryo wakes up, she asks him if she could call him Oni-chan, and Ryo is confused, but decides that he will allow it if it will comfort her at least a little. After a few weeks of travel, they manage to make it to the giant tree that Ryo was aiming for.